So let's talk about how we're going to build this. We're going to start with some basic shapes. So we're going to start with the shape of the apple. And we're going to find some of its contour. We're going to find some of its cross contour. We may as well, because those are nice big Sharpie lines that help us define the object. Notice even the stem. The stem comes up and it goes through that edge. It goes beyond the contour of the apple. So now I'm at the bottom of my apple. And the question is, how do other things relate spatially? So I'm going to take a line horizontally, even though that line doesn't really exist. I'm going to draw a line horizontally from here over. That's what we call a carry-through line. That's an imaginary line. It's an axis. It's the axis of horizontal from the bottom of the apple. I'm going to also do an axis vertically off the side of the apple. And when I look at those in the image, I can see that if I bring a line straight up from the edge of the apple, it almost hits the corner of the cup. Let's look at, if I go with my cursor, that line from the edge of the apple straight up, and it hits the corner of the cup, right? But what about the line that runs from here and through? So what we're going to do is we're going to find some other means of finding this point. So watch, if I bring this point and I carry this contour down, where does it keep going? Not quite the middle of the apple, but just off center. So if I'm just off center, right here, and I draw an angle up like this, and then I draw this angle up, this is going to get me right into the position where the top of the cup should be. Now, this horizontal line coming across from the bottom of the apple, right here, like this, that line right there across, it's completely missing the bottom of the cup, isn't it? So I can safely assume the bottom of my cup is somewhere in here. And I could put a little guideline to mark it. This line, as we said, if we carry it through, it ends up going to there. What about something like the counter axis like this? What happens if we carry that through? Where does it go? It goes to the upper middle of the cup itself. So if I bring this counter axis in my drawing across, I really should have a situation where they're starting to relate to one another in terms of being in the upper middle. So what I can tell is that I have my top of my cup a little high. I have to bring it down just a touch and over just a touch so these things happen. And now if this line comes across and hits right there, the proportion of this amount compared to this amount is more close to what I'm seeing in my original image. Now we talked about some of these other carry-through lines. This line here, if we carry it through, it almost touches the cup. So I want to go right near the cup. I want to look at that axis or that angle, and I want to bring that up like this. Now, how about the horizon? Where does it cut across? It goes right through the middle of the apple. So to draw the horizon, I'm not going to just go to the left where I see it. I'm actually going to go where I don't see it. I'm going to go to the middle of the apple, and I'm going to draw that line across at the angle that it's in. So the part that I see is right here. The part that I see is being darkened in. But the part that is unseen is just as helpful to the drawing of this object, and that would be this line here, this coming down to here, this being above this by that much, and this coming across on the other side through the middle of the apple. Okay, do you see how I'm using carry-through lines to pull everything together? That's what we want to start to do at this point. Okay, so we've moved from the idea of carrying lines around a form. Now we're going to carry lines beyond the form and into all sorts of other spaces. And we can even look at other things. You know, we could take, for instance, this carry-through line right here on the edge of the cup, and notice how it hits that perfect point where these two come together. So this comes down, this comes over, and if I carry this line through, boom, it hits that point perfectly. I can be assured that my drawing is in good shape.